Hold on 1 second as I get myself right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Planetary forecast for January 9th, 2021. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank you guys for everybody who's been tuning in these last couple weeks. It's been definitely like a whole mind shift of going from, hey, love, of going from, doing these on a monthly basis to doing on a daily basis. So thank you guys for making the shift with me and tuning in and being supportive and giving me feedback on everything. It's been great. So we're gonna get started. Yesterday we experienced like 4 or 5 different planetary shifts, right? So many of you guys may have been tired, just like a super huge need for a nap and everything, and that's okay. Definitely, I definitely slept yesterday. I slept yesterday. Um, yes. No, it's not okay. Close the door, please. Thank you. No, close the door. It's not okay. Thank you. Close the door. Just keep the light on and close that bathroom door. But yeah, so we're gonna start off with the sun. The sun we start off today, this morning at 12 a.m. at 19 degrees, 6 altitude in Capricorn in the fifth house. And we'll be leaving the day off at 20 degrees, 7 altitude in Capricorn in the fifth house. So we're slowly getting ourselves to the other end of Capricorn energy, right? But yeah, we got like a week and a half or so, almost 2 weeks left of Capricorn season, and then we'll be moving into Aquarius. So it makes sense that we're in the 20s as far as the degrees in Capricorn energy, right? And the sun is all about your ego, right? Your outward self, your masculine energy, how you interact with your own masculine energy and the masculine energy and others around you and other beings and things around you, right? And so what we have is in that Capricorn energy with what we've been, going over is that Capricorn energy is that cardinal energy, that energy about taking initiative, being a leader, also about manifestation, right? Capricorn energy is all about the pinnacle energy, physical energy, bringing things into fruition, things of that nature. So we have that ego energy being rooted in that energy of manifestation, that energy of creating structure and law and authority and being of structure of law and authority in yourself and your life and your friends. And that's where your ego is going to lie. So a lot of you guys have been feeling compelled to be the authoritative figure in your life, be the authoritative figure in others. And a lot of us have been feeling that energy from others, right? A lot of people, we've been sitting around like, dang, like you was waiting hard as hell to be boss, or you were waiting mad long to be manager so you can do this, or you were waiting long for this title to do that, and so on and so forth. And that's what's happening right now. We're having a shift in power, a shift in authority, a shift in leadership, and things like that. And it's what's feeding all of our egos right now. And we see that. We see that on the news. We see that on social media with all these things that's happening with the presidency. We also see that in our homes and in our families, right? A lot of us are shifting our matriarchs and our patriarchs and our families. And with that shift happening, some of the traditions and things of that nature is um is being shifted as well. So that's exciting. And it's all rooted in that fifth house of children, the child in you, the child in others. It's that Leo energy of confidence and being the center of the universe, right? That sun energy, that king of the jungle type energy, right? That's what Leo energy causes us to bring. So we're definitely doing and engaging in shaking up this authority, shaking up these challenges and restrictions that Capricorn energy brings. We're definitely engaging in that with that sun energy, that double sun energy, that double confidence energy that the sun and Leo both bring, right? The moon is all about our intuition, our inner selves, our feminine beings, how we interact with the femininity and other beings, and how we interact with our own feminine side, right? And so the moon has been in Scorpio, sitting in the fourth house. Scorpio energy is all about intensity, right? Sensuality and power and things of that nature. It's all about transformation and secrets, but it's in a very like a sophisticated way. It's aggressive but sophisticated at the same time. If you can think of this is more so of a masculine energy, whereas Lilith is more so the feminine energy. So when you're dealing with Pluto, specifically, you are dealing with that physical energy and that outward energy and what's going on the outside. Um, as far as I got tangled up with Scorpio. As far as the moon goes, yes, you're dealing with the feminine energy going into yourself and things of that nature. So with that being said, um the moon is also in waning crescent phase, which is the moon of cleansing, the moon of letting go. So at this period of time, you may have felt yourself feeling, enticed, or having a desire of letting certain things go. We're coming to a close of this moon cycle, so we're wrapping it up. We're coming to our Jerry Springer moment where we're rehashing all the things we went through during this past moon phase and what we've accomplished and manifested, and we're letting go some things that we may not be able to accomplish and manifest, and coming to terms with certain things. And as I get into the true node and midheaven and all those things, you'll start to understand why I'm speaking how I'm speaking. But that's what the wanting crescent move brings to us, is the moon of cleansing and letting go and going inward. And it's great that the moon is also about going inward. And then we're moving from Scorpio energy and ending the day off in Sagittarius energy. So we're moving away from that blowing and going with the air, going with the wind type energy, and now we're experiencing fire, right? So at the end of the night, you'll be experiencing like from that Scorpio intense energy going on to that, again, still an intense energy, but we're going from air to fire, right? Now we're in that fire energy. And with the fire energy, Sagittarius energy is all about being optimistic and adventurous. It's also about like expansion, especially on like a philosophical level, expanding your perspectives and how you go about doing things and things of that nature. So you definitely feel your feminine energy, that inward energy of yourself, feeling more adventurous in that level, tapping into your feminine energy, feeling adventurous and how you express it and how you interact with others with your feminine energy, right? Some happenings that we have going on today. The moon and Graphias were zero point 0.4 degrees apart today at 12:52 p.m. So that was like smaller than one whole degree, right? Now, Graphias is like the star. When we talk about the Scorpio constellation, Graphias is the star that's at the crown of Scorpio. Now, when you get into the constellation of Scorpio is seen as one of the darkest constellations, right? It's about a lot of mischief, death, and violent death, and it's just very dark. It's very, very dark. Think of, like, the Hitchcock type vibe. When you think of the Scorpion constellation. And so the moon was, point 4 degrees apart from the crown of the Scorpion. So whatever mindset of the Scorpion is, you definitely found yourself taking that on your inward self today and your emotional self today. So that little petty thing, that little, oh, I heard you've been saying this about me, so I'm about to prove you right since you want to talk about it. That grudge holding energy, and maybe some things you thought you let go of have been coming back to the surface in your memories and invoking emotions in you all over again. That's that grudge holding energy. Um, the desire to sting somebody, just wishing somebody would today because you just been thinking about some things. And that's all that Scorpio moon energy. But we're moving from that, and as we move from that, not only was the moon point 4 degrees away from Graphias, it moved to Deshuba. It was in conjunction with Deshuba at 2.7 degrees north. And Deshuba is like a little bit further south than Graphias, where Graphias is like the crown. Deshuba is just like the forehead altogether, the star constellations in the forehead. And so we're just in the head of Scorpio as the moon moved out of Scorpio season and made its way into Sagittarius. So obviously it started its way at the tail. Um what else is going on with the moon? At 11:49 a.m., the moon was at its shortest distance from the Earth. The moon wasn't visible yet. Actually, the moonrise wasn't until, well, will not be until later on this evening, as far as where we are right now. But in other places, if you were in other spaces and places, you probably saw it, and that's fun. So Mercury, we start off the day at 1 degrees 5 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house, and we'll be ending it off at 2 degrees 43 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house. So Mercury is all about logic, how you communicate, how you share and exchange information, and things of that nature. Mercury is also about teaching and learning and things like that. Um, Mercury inside that Aquarius energy. Now, Aquarius energy, we've been going over that as we are slowly entering Aquarius season, and we have our two major planets, doing some happenings in Aquarius energy. But with Mercury and Aquarius energy, you find your logic and things being rooted in that optimistic, adventurous, outgoing, expanded energy of Aquarius. Okay. This energy is also rebellious and social. So you find yourself being wanting to be more social with others, also wanting to be more rebellious and going against the grain in your logic, right? And we have been doing that when we are speaking and how we've been communicating, especially the last couple of days after everything happened in DC, how we've been communicating with others. We have been like, hey, you know what? We can go against the grain. We can do some things, and it's about time we go above and beyond, but we're coming together while we do it. We're not just individually going against the grain. We've learned those lessons from our other beacons of light in the past, right? When they would go against the grain, they always went against the grain by themselves, and what happened to them? They didn't make it to the other end, right? And so, like, we're learning slowly that there's power in numbers, and we can get things done in set numbers, and that's fun. I like that. I like what we're coming into with this Aquarius energy. Um, yeah, and that's all directed in the sixth house. And the sixth house is that Virgo energy, that energy of health and wellness and daily routine. So as you're going against the grain in your logic and communications, this is all affecting your daily routine, how you go about your daily life and things of that nature. Excuse me, I'm getting a little hot. But yeah, all that stuff is kind of like one and the same, as is, traveling alongside Saturn and Jupiter and a couple of other energies, and we'll get into that in a moment, and talk about how we're excited about when the sun finally enters Aquarius energy as well, because we'll have like a nice little smorgasbord of energy sitting in that social rebellious energy of Aquarius, and that's always exciting, right? Okay, so moving on. Oh yeah, so the happening today was Mercury was in conjunction with Saturn at 1.7 degrees south. So that was cool. Mercury, our logic and communication, was within 2 degrees of Saturn, which is our planet of like law and authority and structure and restrictions and boundaries. So a lot of things that we've been communicating and teaching and learning and absorbing and engaging in that Mercurian sense, as it has been overpowered by Saturn, because we know Saturn is larger than Mercury, right? And if that planet is larger, then that means that its electromagnetic energy is stronger than Mercury, right? So you find your communication and things was being engulfed in authority, being engulfed in restrictions. Maybe your communication was a little bit reserved. Maybe your communication was acknowledging how reserved it has felt, or how reserved it felt like it needed to be once upon a time, and now it's coming out of that and breaking free from that. And we see that because I say, breaking free and getting free of that, because we have both of these planets, even though they're close to each other, they're still sitting in that rebellious energy of, hello, Layla. We still have, both these planets sitting in that rebellious energy of Aquarius, which is causing us to socialize and causing us to rebel. So, there you have it. And so moving on to Venus. Venus, we started off the day at 0 degrees 38 altitude in Capricorn in the fifth house. We'll be ending off the day at 1 degrees 53 altitude in Capricorn in the fifth house. So Venus is that planet that's all about like how you obtain your wealth, where you see wealth, or how you seek it, how you maintain it after you obtain it. It's all about, also love, and how you seek and maintain, obtain love, and things you find pleasure in, and things you're attracted to. And also, when we obtain things that we're attracted to and we find pleasure in, it boosts our self-esteem, right? So it's also, revealing to us where our self-esteem lies. And so Venus has been sitting in Capricorn, sitting right near the sun. Well, not right near the sun. Right now, the sun and Capricorn are about 18 degrees apart, which is still within 30 degrees. So it's still pretty close. And we know the sun and Venus are, the sun is a little bit bigger. So whereas your ego is being overpowered, it's still being influenced about how you seek your thing, things you find valuable, things you find yourself attracted to, things you find love in. So your ego and your self-esteem are going hand in hand right now. And it's also rooted in that Capricorn energy of being reserved, being detached, that authority and restrictions, and being conservative. So in your Venus aspect, you might find yourself being more reserved right now. Probably not really like in that it's like either you're engulfed in this, or you're starting to realize you have been engulfed in this and you're seeking change. Because you can either be in tune with the Aquarius energy that's coming into play as we shake off a lot of this Capricorn energy. Like we spent all 2020 in heavy Capricorn energy, because our larger, stronger planets were rooted in Capricorn energy for the whole year. So now that we're shaking off like the last little bits of Capricorn energy with our sun and Venus and other planets that are passing through, Pluto will actually be in Capricorn for years to come. But the few other planets that we have that are passing through, we're kind of shaking off that reserved energy, that energy that was full of restrictions, that was telling us what we couldn't do, the authority and stuff like that. Especially as we move into Aquarius energy, that's telling us, oh no, it's time to socialize, it's time to rebel. Capricorn energy is the complete opposite. The Capricorn energy is like, no, it's law, authority, and power, and it's time to be reserved and conservative. So if you are, it depends on where you already are. And the trick to this is, right now I'm giving a general horoscope reading based upon where planets are. So you're getting a full understanding of why horoscopes are how they are. We're talking about the physics, the frequency, the electromagnetic energy of these planets, and how they're being mirrored to this earth. And it seems like what I'm saying is like no brainer common sense type things, but that just goes to show how aligned we are. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about, duh, of course that's what happened. No, it's shedding light and showing you how aligned we are, regardless if we want to go with the flow or not. You're still in alignment. And how you make this specified to yourself, if you want to get into, well, what does this have to do with me? If you're very, very individualistic, respect to you. But like, if you want to get into your natal chart, what you would do is you will find out where Venus is on your natal chart. Like, I'll give you an example. My natal chart, my Venus is in Virgo. So while the Venus currently is in Capricorn, we know people are being conservative and feeling detached, and you might not be lovey-dovey. You might, and then you also may, be very reserved and be narrow-minded in how you're obtaining those physical things that Venus causes us to do. Venus and Taurus energy is one and the same. And that's that energy that's all about the pinnacles, all about obtaining like material things and wealth and value. And that's where your self-esteem is coming from, right? Well, my Venus, my natal Venus is in Virgo. So while this Venus is in Capricorn telling people, law, authority, so on and so forth, detached, whatever, my Venus is telling me to communicate that. My Venus is telling me to teach and share about that, about what the Venus and Capricorn energy is about. My Venus, because my Venus in Virgo brings practicality and servitude and communication and teaching and learning and that level of exchange. I'm like, well, we know that Virgo is that Mercurian energy, that Elegua Eshwa messenger crossroad energy, right? So, that is a messenger crossroad. During this time, if your Venus is in Virgo, you're feeling compelled to communicate what's going on, with switching up in your Venus energy with this Capricorn energy. You may feel like, all right, I want to bring some authority into my life. And that's where I'm at personally. Like, I need to find some footing and some rooting and some authority and structure in my life, because all last year, because so many planets were in so many areas in conjunction with my natal chart, that was causing me to shake up my routine and get rid of my routine, because I was holding on to it so tightly, because I have so many planets in Virgo and in Capricorn on my chart. I have about 7 planets, 7 energies, and more than that once you get into the nebulas and things. I have a lot of energy rooted in these earth energies. So with that being said, I was very like, it was all about shaking me out of the earth energy, out of the stubbornness I was in. So this year, it's like I'm more comfortable with not being so stubborn and so rooted with most things. But at the same token, it's like now, okay, now it's time to communicate these things with other people, learning when to tell people no, learning, to communicate, all right, well, this is the kind of structure I have for myself, and no longer feeling like I got to be like that wet blanket that being a Virgo sometimes calls me to be, and actually like saying out loud, no, this needs to happen. This needs to be organized, whatever, whatever. So hopefully that was a good explanation for you guys. If you need something more in depth, definitely message me. You too, right? Yeah, me too. I got a lot going on. But the Venus is also in that fifth house energy of Leo energy. And we talked about Leo energy brings a level of confidence. So while you're creating this infrastructure and this authority and these things in that Capricorn energy, is being happen with confidence. Is happening with you taking on that king of the jungle ego kind of energy about it. So it's definitely getting done, and it's definitely going to feel good, especially with Venus and the sun going hand in hand with making sure this infrastructure and this authority, comes to the forefront. Now, understand, I'm speaking from a point of view of Unica. Understood? Your desires are different than mine. I'm a more spiritual person. We can get into the mind of someone evil. Okay. We want to get into the mind of someone evil and someone, that's tapped into the God in them, because God is in everyone, despite if you're good or evil. We're all manifestations. And so, like, get tapped into someone evil, how they obtain their wealth, what makes them happy, they're going to go for it at this time. So while we're over here like, yay, love and light, and we're just going to, conquer our goals and get more businesses popping and breaking generational curses, people who not just evil, but just different levels of things, they're also doing that within themselves. So, once you start to learn that we're all reflections of each other and everyone's on the same wavelength and path and things like that, you'll stop putting other people's God in them on a pedestal and putting it above and beyond your own and saying, well, these things are happening to me, so I can't tap in and tune in and do XYZ. You don't want to carry yourself like that. The God in you is just as powerful as the God in the next person, despite what they're doing with it or what job title they have with it or whatever, what have you. And I was just my way of breaking it down and bringing it to a realization, because I get a lot of rebuttals and a lot of like, oh, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? Well, I have an answer for everything. And hopefully I'm answering y'all questions. But Mars, we start off the day at 1 degree to altitude in Taurus in the ninth house. and we'll be ending off the day at 1 degree 30 altitude in Taurus in the ninth house. So Mars is still slow moving in Taurus, but we're chugging along. So Mars is that energy about like motivation. That's your root chakra energy. It's like what gets you motivated, what gets you going, what ignites you and excites you, what gets you aggressive, what turns on that warrior like energy, what makes you mad, what gives you that anger, what's your temper, what gives you that temper, what does your temper look like? That's what Mars, those are the questions that Mars answers. And with Mars sitting in that Taurus energy right now, a lot of you guys are being triggered about, your traditions being touched. Taurus energy is like that bullheaded energy, that stubborn energy that, oh no, I'm not doing this. No, you can't tell me what to do. No, this is not happening. No, 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 no. When you speak to a Taurus, even if they agree with you in the motion of them talking, they will always say no first. They always make it like a no, a negative, like opposition word for it, because they come into things on their own timing, right? When they're ready, and it's never when you're ready. So like with the Mars and Taurus, you find yourself being, triggered and upset and aggressive towards obtaining those material things, being told what to do, having people tell you what to do with your motivation, what to do with that said energy that you're feeling in this Mars thing. But Taurus is also about obtaining material things. Taurus is a Earth energy, so that's all about pentacles and manifestation. Again, going back to Taurus being one in hand with Venus, with it being about, your wealth and your finances and your love and things like that. Not true. See how there's a not in the beginning of that sentence? That's a Taurus that just commented. So yeah, that just proved my point. But yeah, with that Mars energy being rooted in the love and finances and things like that, you find your energy being towards how you're obtaining material things. And we see that a lot of people are like, oh well, I gotta start doing this, I gotta start doing that, I want to obtain this, I want to obtain that. And we're going, above and beyond to figure out new ways of going about obtaining it. A lot of us are starting to work for self, working for different companies that we never thought we would work for before. A lot of us are starting to a lot of us are scamming. A lot of us are trading forex. A lot of us are getting into stocks and bonds. People are really changing and being motivated and changing and those things. A lot of us are being triggered, as far as like angered because we have to change those things. A lot of us had to change, how we obtain wealth, what wealth was to us, what was valuable, and that may have made you angry. Like, dang, like I worked this job for all these years and now I got to give it up because of this or that or whatever, what have you. And so, like, it's just affecting all of us different. But the Mars, again, tap into your natal chart and find out what zodiac energy Mars is on your chart and find out how that is in congruent with where Mars is in transit. And if you need what help with that, just let me know. We can go over that. And that's sitting up in the ninth house of Sagittarius energy. So you have Mars sitting up in that stubborn, determined, wealth, finance, value energy. Yeah, I need to start scamming too. Because all the other ways that I've been trying to make money have been legal and slow. But it seems like scam money. I only need it one time. Just let me get 10 G's real quick and I'll flip that joint. I'll never scam again. Maybe. But that ninth energy, Sagittarius energy, was all about ambition and expansion and changing your perspectives and things like that. And that's what Mars is triggering us to do in that Taurus energy, is changing the things that we hold on to and we've been stubborn about, and putting a little fire up under us in that ninth house. So Jupiter, we start off the day at 4 degrees 40 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house. We'll be ending off the day at 4 degrees 53 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house. Again, Jupiter is super duper close to Mercury right now. They're about 3 degrees apart. But again, Mercury is a little bit closer to Saturn, which is why we had that happening of them being 1.7 degrees apart today. Anyway, going back to Jupiter. Jupiter is like that nice cop energy. It's all about authority and law and generosity and humanitarianism. It's like traditions and stuff, but it's not like heavily like heavily enforced or pushed on individuals, but it is there. And so it's sitting in that rebellious energy of sitting in that rebellious Aquarius energy, that social energy of Aquarius. And that's calling us to come together, and we're questioning the law and authority, right? We're questioning traditions. The planets are all working hand in hand to get us to shake up some things that we've been doing and shake up some ways we've been going about doing things. And it's definitely doing this with this Jupiter and Aquarius energy. And this is sitting in the sixth house, and the sixth house is the energy of Virgo, which is your health and wellness and your daily routines. So a lot of everything that you're switching up in this energy, switching up your traditions and switching up how you go about your humanitarian work, how you go about your laws, the soft laws, like small laws, like little, not laws. How about laws is not a good word. How about rules? Let's use the term rules. How you go about enforcing and treating the rules around you, not necessarily laws. And so that's all affecting that Virgo energy. You still don't fully understand Jupiter. Oh, yours is in Aquarius? That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So Jupiter, it governs law and tradition and generosity. So like when I think the comparison I was making with Jupiter was like the cop from The Simpsons. Like he's all about, it's like there's rules here, but they're nurturing rules. Like they're rules like don't do this, don't do that. Like I'll pop you, but like it's nothing crazy. Now Saturn is the RoboCop. Saturn is like, okay, you wasn't listening to Jupiter, you wasn't listening to the rules. Now here comes the law. So Jupiter is like, these are the rules, but these like classroom rules, like the rules to be nicer to other people, like the rules we had in health, not health class, skills for growing. Those kind of rules. That's what Jupiter governs, like the traditions. Like we don't hit people, we don't take from people, we don't do da da da. Da. Like it's all about being nice to people. And Aquarius energy is social energy. People coming together, things and spaces and stuff coming together, but also being rebellious. Aquarius energy is also rebellious energy. It's also an air energy, so it could be a little bit bubble-headed, a little bit airy, and lacking grounding. Lacking when something lacks grounding, it's easily swayed this way and this way. Um, Sometimes it depends on where your planets are or how your personality is. You can get frustrated with the lack of grounding. Like a lot of us are getting frustrated with the lack of rules and structure and things like that. A lot of us feel good about it because we don't like it. A lot of us are tapping in. Like if your Jupiter was in Capricorn, you might feel an initiative to tap in and create a new rules and create new structure and new things, while the current is being so laxy daisy and like ununiformed and stuff like that. And with the energy sitting in the sixth house deals with your health and your wellness and your daily routines. That Virgo energy of organization and practicality and stuff like that. So like while all these rules and stuff are going on and we're rebelling against it, as we're rebelling against it and being social about it and we're individualistic and being original about how we're molding these things, it's affecting our health, our daily our our daily routine and our wellness. And so for some of us, it's for the good. For some of us, it's for the bad. For some of us, it might be nothing. It all depends on where your natal planet is. If yours is in Aquarius, then you probably have definitely been going with the flow of what Jupiter in Aquarius has been since December. Whereas a catalyst for different things, you may have been borderline unaffected, if not excited about it. You know what I mean? With the different rebellion. And you'll find yourself being a part of it at some point in time, being engulfed in it. And this is in regards to rules that govern generosity and wisdom and tradition and things of that nature. So Saturn is again that RoboCop. While we have the nice blue cop of Jupiter, we have this black hard cop of Saturn. And Saturn, we started off at 2 degrees 34 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house, and we'll be ending off the day at 2 degrees 40 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house. So Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury are all hanging out with each other. We have these two planets of law and order and tradition and getting things done in links with this planet of learning and sharing and communication. And so, with that being said, Saturn is energy sitting in that Aquarius energy of rebellion and changing your perspective and being original and social and optimistic and things of that nature, and still sitting in that house of health, wellness, and daily routine. So, definitely communicating, definitely learning and teaching others how we're being rebellious, like that, the energy and the words necessary to get the Aquarius energy flowing through Jupiter and Saturn is definitely happening. Those two planets are definitely engulfed over Mercury. So, while you feel like, oh, I'm never going to get away from this healing talk, I'm never going to get away from this breaking generational curses talk, I'm never going to get away from this talk about the White House. I'm never going. No, you're not, because Jupiter and Saturn sitting in Aquarius right now is calling us to keep talking about these things and keep putting energy towards these things and keep rebelling towards these things, because that's what the planets is calling. And your one body is not larger or greater than the electromagnetic energy of Jupiter and Saturn and Mercury. And there's a few other energies that's sitting in Aquarius right now. So, it would be nice if your one electromagnetic energy was bigger and stronger, but it is not. So just go with it. Uranus, we started off the day at 6 degrees 43 altitude in retrograde and Taurus in the ninth house, and we'll be ending off the day at 6 degrees 43 altitude in retrograde and Taurus in the ninth house. So Uranus has hold on, let me get the paper because I want to tell y'all for real. Hold on, let me get my Capricorn energy papers. My bad. But hold up. Mine, yeah, they actually both do. Okay, so you gotta think about it like atoms. So right now, depends on what kind of solar system you believe in, if it's sun centered or earth centered or whatever. But like when we get into astrology, we're more so getting into it as being earth centered and seeing where all the planets are in relation to where we are on this earth. So think about like the earth actually being like the nucleus, and all the other planets and nebulas and everything are like the protons, neutrons, and electrons around them. And so you, like me, I'm Nika, right? So my, nucleus is Earth. And so my sun, moon, Mercury, and Venus are all in Virgo. So I have an alignment of those electrons in this area. And then my Jupiter is in Leo, so I have, that planet right here. And then my Neptune, Saturn, and I want to say Uranus, they're all in Capricorn. So, I have that energy aligned right there. And then my Pluto is in Scorpio. So that's what my atom looks like. That's what those alignments look like, right? So then now we have the actual Earth is over there. And the sun is in Capricorn. And so the sun is beaming on my um Uranus, Neptune, and whatever. I got three energies in Capricorn. So the sun is in alignment with my natal joints. So my ego is gonna lie because the sun is ego and da 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 da. So my ego and stuff like that, I'm gonna feel good if I tap into my Neptune, Saturn, whatever planets that's in Capricorn right now. If I fulfill those planets, I'll be in alignment with the sun. And the sun is all about ego and your outer self and your masculine energy and how you interact with masculine energy. And masculine energy ain't just like man, da da da. It's also about extrovertedness. It's also about manifestation, outward things, tangible things. All of that is masculine. So how I obtain those things and interact with those things. Well, I would have to tap into my natal planets that are in Capricorn to figure out how to align myself with the sun. Um, my shit that's in Virgo. I don't think that there's anything in Virgo right now. So there's nothing tuning into my sun, moon, Mercury, and Venus. They're not really being tapped in. They're not really being turned on right now because there's nothing really sitting in Virgo. Um, so like that's how you would get into it. You would look at yourself as an atom. You would look at the transit chart as an atom. Now, how are those atoms interacting with my atoms? Are they coming together in the same zodiac energy? If so, the bigger planets have the bigger electromagnetic energy. So whatever the bigger planets are doing, that's what the smaller planets are going to be like, oh, all right, we're going to do it too. Because you got to. And the closer the planets are together, the stronger the connection is with, them getting things done. The further apart they are, no, the more equal the energy is, no matter what the size is. You know what I'm saying? So like if we're not that close in connection, like if we're like over 30 degrees apart, or if we're larger than a 90-degree angle apart, but we're still in the same house or whatever, like, the energy is more equal now. But the closer we come together, that bigger planet is going to have a stronger energy. And that's when you get into like the physics of it all and getting into like electromagnetic energies and what an atom looks like and valence electrons and stuff like that. And then you can start making like mirror images to understand how the planets are moving in regards to the transit chart versus your natal chart. I hope that was a good explanation. It made sense to me. Um. Oh, Uranus. So Uranus has been in Taurus since March 5th, 2019. And what was that, last year around the time when COVID first started. So when we first started experiencing quarantine in March, that's when Uranus first entered Taurus. And Uranus is that energy about progressiveness, about change. It's like that push that pushes you like, all right, you can't keep denying that this is what's happening. You can't keep turning away. You can't keep whatever, and you have to like face the truth. You have to like see this is happening now. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but like people were getting sick last year back in October. Like I worked in rehab at the time and people were already getting sick. And me and a few other people can honestly say we had COVID, like, but it didn't have a name yet, so we didn't know what to call it. We just all thought we was dying out here in the streets. We were just sick. So like, once March came around, Uranus entered Taurus, it was like, all right, y'all can't keep denying that people are getting sick. You can't keep denying that this is going on. You can't keep denying that's going on. So then the quarantine happened. Now, once the quarantine happened, certain other things started happening, right? You seen we call it conspiracy theorists or whatever, what have you, and that's fine. You can call it that. However, news is news, and it may be more expanded, as we'll get into a minute with Neptune and Pisces. It may be more expanded or blown up than reality. However, like there's still some truth in a lot of the theories and things like that we've been fed, right? Especially like with Epstein thing coming out. Also, we dealt with Hillary Clinton's emails and her having court in September. That was another Uranus and Taurus type energy going on. That was also the last bit of Saturn and Jupiter sitting in Capricorn energy. A lot of politicians got away with a lot of shit last year because we weren't paying attention. A lot of people were too scared about COVID. A lot of things got swept under the rug last year with the two of those energies sitting in Capricorn. But with that being said, with this energy now sitting in Aquarius, people are starting to pay attention. Also, the progressiveness, and you can no longer deny that the news is lying. The news is just as scripted as a regular TV show you enjoy watching. And it's going to keep pushing. And I know a lot of people are not ready to come to that realization yet, and that's okay. you're going to keep being pushed. You're going to keep being pushed until you let go of the fact that, certain things you've been holding on to, certain things you've been swearing up and down is educational and real and, factual and this can be trusted or whatever, what have you. You're going to keep getting pushed until you can no longer say, like, that is what it is. And in your romantic relationships, too, you're going to keep being pushed until you realize, oh, this ain't the one. This ain't that. In your jobs, you're going to keep being pushed until you realize, oh, nah, this whole time I've been working here, I've been contributing to the wrong things. Like, this ain't doing nothing for me, or this ain't doing nothing for my people. Is actually more destructive for myself or destructive for my people or my community. Like, working for this company is no good. A lot of us are getting pushed to the point where we can't keep denying. You can't keep saying, "Oh, I can turn a blind on eye to this because this don't directly affect me, or this don't put money in my pockets, or this don't affect my children and stuff like that." Like, you're gonna keep being pushed. Like, you can't deny it no more. And it started March 5th of last year when we first started the quarantine and stuff like that. And we'll be in this position until actually my mom's birthday. We'll be in this position until April 26th, 2026. So, you think that, it's over and we done got to the other side because of who you wanted to be elected, got elected, and that's fun. But no, the way Uranus Taurus is being set up right now, sitting in that Sagittarius ninth house energy, which causes expansion, which causes new ideals and philosophies and perspectives and stuff like that. We're going to be sitting in this for the next 6 years. So, you're still going to be pushed. You think you got to the end of it? You think you healed? You think you finished? You ain't finished. If some things over there in the corner of your closet that you still like, oh, I'm done now. They didn't get the stuff in the corner. I can still walk away with my stuff in the corner. And no, you can't, because we'll be here for another 6 years. So that's another 6 years of us being pushed. And then the other day I got into, like, the scientists and stuff like that talking about, like, the planetary environment and stuff like that. And you see that we're going to keep being pushed, and that we're going to keep being pushed with that as well too. You keep denying what's happening with the environment, you keep denying your place in what's happening in the environment and how you're personally affected it, how these corporations that we keep giving money to and we keep going to definitely affected. Like, it's easy to blame the money, the little guy for turning his water on for an extra 2 minutes than it is to blame this company that's, like, pouring out tons and tons and tons of water in a day. But we're getting to the point now where it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to keep buying from this company anymore. I'm not going to keep eating food from these companies anymore and stuff like that, because I see that by me keep giving you my time, money, and energy, you're going to keep doing things to the earth that, is detrimental to us all. And you can say and act like you can't see it now. You keep saying, "Oh, I'm gonna keep holding on to my McDonald's. I'm gonna keep holding on to my Walmart. I'm gonna keep holding on to this. I'm gonna keep holding on to Fashion Nova." Fashion Nova makes their clothing out of oil. So if you're supporting if you're supporting fast fashion, you're supporting, that the oil spills, the oil drilling, and all that stuff. And as we come into realization about all those things and being pushed to the point where you can't keep denying it, it is going to, be a progressive. And that's what Uranus is causing us to do. And that's exciting. Neptune, we started off the day at 18 degrees, 38 altitude in Pisces in the seventh house. And we'll be ending off at 18 degrees, 39 altitude in Pisces in the seventh house. Now, I said I was going to get into this. So, Neptune is all about your subconscious, the things that you can't see or feel past, the five senses and things of that nature. Is that mystic spiritual energy, right? And so it's sitting in that Pisces energy, which is also that spiritual mystic energy, also people pleasing, all about, like, balance and fairness. The seventh house is also Libra energy, all about balance and fairness, and also people pleasing. So with that being said, putting these three puzzle pieces together into a whole energy, you have this planet of mysticism, this energy of the zodiac energy of mysticism, and this house energy of balance and fairness. So you find people becoming more in tune with their spirituality, more in tune with mysticism, more in tune with their cultural mythology and things of that nature. With that being said, what Pisces calls us to do is to be mindful, because Pisces also brings that energy of gullibility, right? Being easily impressionable, because we are eyes wide open in this birth. And because our eyes are wide open in this birth, we are open to absorbing any and everything. And there are other individuals who are more tuned into the God in them, something I keep coming back to, so that you guys can feel empowered in the God in you and stop, folding and be feeling like it's okay to be oppressed by other people. We're going to end that mentality, one day at a time with these daily things. But coming back, that Neptune and Pisces energy is also warning you to be careful, because there are people that are tuned in with the God in them, and they're using it to enter into this mystic spirituality realm to get you, because they know your eyes wide open. You ready to absorb, you're ready to be as open-minded as you could possibly be. You want to be as spiritual as you can be. You want to tap into your ancestry. Yesterday I talked about the DNA thing. We had, a surge of us, we wanted to tune into, our ancestry, our spirituality on a more concrete level, instead of just being generic and saying, oh, I'm black, so this must be it. No, we wanted to get into our lineage. And with that being said, there was corporations that played on that, right? There were corporations saying, "Oh, you want your lineage? You want to da da da? Well, give us your DNA, give us your information, give us your money." Da 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 da. And there's some companies that actually didn't give what you gave. They didn't give it back. You guys gave your DNA only to get a sheet of paper telling you what other colonies you're from. And I gave the comparison. That's like me moving to Africa and my grandkids doing a DNA test to find out that I was from Jersey. That's not a big find. It's still colonies. It's not the tribes. It's still not ancestry. It's like a few years back. So, like, just be mindful of that. Be mindful of the companies that's coming in and trying to play on your culturalism and your spiritualism, especially Rainbow and Walmart. Like, they make me sick with all um their their cultural clothing and stuff like that, but it's really so that they can make money, and they're playing on your spirituality and your desire to be cultural, and they're trying to capitalize off of that. And this energy will actually be around until January 26th, 2026. So we'll be in this energy for a couple years, a few more years. Uranus and Neptune won't be moving out until 2026. Pluto. Pluto, we started off at 24 degrees 27 altitude in Capricorn in the fifth house, and we'll be ending it off at 24 degrees 29 altitude in Capricorn in the fifth house. Now, Pluto is the energy that's all about transformations and death and rebirth and destruction and healing. It's also about power and secrets, and how you will go about transforming. So, with that sitting in the fifth house, you find yourself feeling transformation or experiencing transformation in your challenges, some restrictions you've created for yourself, things you found yourself afraid of. Um, Also finding yourself moving towards being more stable if you haven't already been. Or maybe if you found yourself like me and being too stable and too engulfed in your routine to the point where you have like a conundrum when you're knocked off your routine, when you're knocked off your square. You may have been forced to transform yourself and letting go of some of those things and tuning in and tapping into being a little bit more spirited. And we're definitely taking initiative and leadership and confidence in that energy, right? With that fifth house energy of Leo. Now, Pluto has been in Capricorn since January 26, 2008. Pluto hasn't been in that Capricorn energy since Obama came into office, and will be in that energy until the end of the next election at 2024. So, you just have that transformation energy sitting inside of power, sitting inside of like the authority and law, because we said Capricorn energy was all about like law and order and leadership and stuff like that. So we just definitely been seeing shifts. We definitely have been seeing shifts since Obama has been in office. A lot of things have been unraveling. Certain, mindsets and things regarding law and authority have been unraveling, whether it be on that little level of policing and mayors and things of that nature, on a or on an international level. True node. Our true node is our overdeveloped and our underdeveloped traits and characteristics that we need to find balance in order um to see full success in our life, right? So we started off the day at 19 degrees 42 altitude in Gemini in the 10th house, and we'll be ending it off at 19 degrees 43 altitude in Gemini in the 10th house. So the true node is calling us to just find balance in that Gemini energy. Now, earlier this year, when not this year, but early 2020, um, it's kind of hard because even, coming into tune, COVID happened in Aries energy. So it basically happened last year, you know what I'm saying? Like it's still the same year if you get to it. We didn't reach the New Year's yet. It's not March again. So it's cool that kind of COVID is kind of putting the ideal back in people's heads that the New Year's is actually in Aries season because of how we're starting to count back time and look at time in regards to events. So we're naturally coming back to our original selves. Like it's crazy. It's pretty dope. So what did it in Gemini in a 10th house? So it's calling us to tap into that energy and find balance in that energy that we like balancing when it was in our midheaven, right? A lot of us went headfirst into developing a whole bunch of businesses and just multiple streams of everything: income, relationships, love interests. Don't just date one person at a time. We're all about a polygamy and polygyny. We're all about having multiple deities, multiple this, multiple that. Da, da, da. And by you doing that, you are only scraping the surface of things. You weren't getting to know this woman on the full depth until you because you're too busy having on two or three women at a time, you or men. You weren't really in you didn't really dig past the surface in this business venture because you were too busy worried about having two or three business ventures at the same time. So with that being said, it's the true note causes to tap back in into fully delving past the surface of things and getting in depth with things before jumping into the next thing. Yes, we all want multiple streams of everything, and that's beautiful. Abundance is wonderful, and that's what the midheaven called us. But the true note is saying, all right, we get it. Y'all can multitask. Now it's time to come back because you're juggling a little too much. And the things that shouldn't be slipping through your fingers are starting to slip through your fingers. And once you tap into this energy that the true note causes you to tap into, you definitely will be one with the 10th house, which is all about your accomplishments and success and aspirations and responsibilities. Coming into your ascendant. Your ascendant is all about your mask, your expectations of society and what you think society expects of you. And we started off the day at 3 degrees 19 altitude in Libra in the second house. We'll be ending off the day at 3 degrees 42 altitude in Libra in the second house. And what the ascendant in Libra brings to us is the mask that we've been wearing. The expectations is give and take. We've all been wanting balance in our lives. If this is not and we're all starting to ask ourselves those questions before we enter anything, whether it be a business relationship, familial, friendship, romantic, just relationships with ourselves, and projects. Like, am I getting back what I'm putting in? And if your answer is no, we're not going for it. We're not. And that's something that, our sending has been calling us to do. And we're doing it and we're showing other people that they can do it too. And it's necessary and it's healthy. And that's beautiful. And that's what the ascendant and that Libra energy has been calling us. Also, be mindful though, because that Libra energy can call us to be to go above and a little too beyond and creating said balance, right? To the point where we could be a little people pleasing and a little bit of wet blanket and things like that. And that's tapped into your personal finance energy, the materials and possession energy. That Taurus energy is the second house. The second house is ruled by Taurus. So, how you obtain those things and stuff like that. So, a lot of you guys are feeling this way towards jobs and business ventures and projects. Like, am I getting back what I'm putting in? And if you're not, or if you haven't been in the past, you're definitely feeling a push to start moving towards creating that healthy boundary. Or you may have, if you're not in equilibrium, if you're not in alignment, or you have like an imbalance, you might have been in tune to just be even more people pleasing and dive even more. And if you keep doing that, eventually you're going to disturb your spirit and you're going to start being angry with yourself. And once you feel that, then yeah, it's beyond time to make a change, right? Getting into our midheaven. Our midheaven is in Cancer energy. We started off today at 3 degrees 47 altitude in Cancer in the 11th house, and we'll be ending off the day at 4 degrees 14 altitude in Cancer in the 11th house. Now, the midheaven house is all about our aspirations and our success and what we need to do to reach success, as well as our responsibilities. Did I say responsibilities already? I'm not sure. But it's in Cancer. So Cancer is all about that maternal energy and creating nurturing spaces and things like that. And the 11th house is all about our humanitarian work and our finding our soul purpose and how we're giving back to others. So putting those puzzle pieces together will definitely find, like, success and reaching that like ultimate level in the Mortal Kombat board, by creating nurturing spaces. And a lot of us have been invoked to do that, whether it be a nurturing space for yourself, your children, everyone's grandparents and parents, especially with all this COVID stuff. A lot of us are more afraid of sending our elders to nursing homes and stuff like that because certain treatments, like let's keep it 100, a lot of these CNAs and nurses are scared as well and not giving people the proper treatment that they need and deserve. And so for that reason, we've been changing how we've been, going about doing that as well. So that's what the midheaven and Cancer causes us to do. Lilith, we started off the day at 2 degrees 57 altitude in retrograde in Gemini in the 10th house. We'll be ending off the day at 2 degrees 16 retrograde in Gemini in the 10th house. Lilith is all about your suppression, all the things you suppress about yourself as far as your aggressions go, your motivations, what turns you on, sensuality, and things of that nature. Yeah. And so, with Lilith and Gemini in the 10th house, you may have felt yourself suppressing like things about you that you have been wanting to be flexible on or versatile on. Maybe it has been like a new business venture or a new image or something that you've been wanting to do. But you've been, so wrapped up in what society and how other people are going to absorb it. You haven't gone forth in that motion, but you definitely want to because that's what Lilith is causing. And if you're not in alignment with Lilith, you'll start triggering yourself or other people who exhibit the characteristics that you would like to exhibit as far as being flexible and versatile and communicating things like that. They'll start to trigger you when in reality it's just you being upset because you're suppressing those things within yourself. Chiron. Chiron, we started off the day at 5 degrees 12 altitude in Aries in the 8th house, and we'll be ending off the day at 5 degrees 14 altitude in Aries in the 8th house. Chiron is all about like your overall wellness, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, economics, all in all. And it's sitting in that fired up areas of being aggressive, also that warrior like energy and being energetic and motivated. All right. So you just feel like an aggressive energy towards your overall wellness. Also, like a desire to defend said wellness. Whereas, I see that a lot of it as of, going back to as above, so below, as we, find wellness in all these areas in our lives, we're also looking to defend the wellness that we have received, especially on a community level. We're seeing where a lot of us have, messed up in the past, not messed up, but like, just looking at old notes on how we've created things, but we didn't put much energy towards defending it or being a warrior about said things because, we thought everybody would leave us alone, leave us be because we're being, these peaceful beings. But Chiron and Aries, as well as it being in the 8th house, which is that Scorpio energy of power and transformation, is causing us to just be aggressive and energetic in our overall wellness and defending it, and also tuning into our warrior like energy when it comes to being well. Ceres is all about your health, nutrition, and agriculture. It's also in a power over your fertility, how you deal with loss and grief, how you interact with parents, and how parents interact with children in terms of like healing. In Ceres, we started off at 13 degrees 37 altitude in Pisces in the 7th house, and we'll be ending the day off at 13 degrees 55 altitude in Pisces in the 7th house. So Ceres, we have an alignment with Neptune. And so, with that being said, we have this energy that's causing us to go through spirituality in order to reach our health and our nutrition and agriculture. Also, going through spirituality to deal better with loss and grief, as well as our parents and our parents finding healing. And a lot of this is directed towards partnerships and contracts and one-on-one relationships, as that 7th house deals with Libra energy. Also, being mindful of being overly people pleasing to the point of being self-sacrificial. And we got into that about last week or so, right? With these energies in Pisces, a lot of people, are using spirituality to be self-sacrificial. They're, overextending themselves to be givers to kind of alleviate their own pain and be mindful of everyone that you see coming through you and to you with spirituality, because this energy, also brings on like that energy of being easily impressionable, and people and companies and corporations and politicians and so on and so forth are going to play on that. So getting into Pallas is the energy of logic and reasoning. It's also your intellect. We started off the day at 10 degrees 34 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house, and we'll be ending off the day at 10 degrees at 10 degrees 54 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house. So Pallas is once another energy that we have sitting in Aquarius, along with Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury, all sitting in that sixth house energy, that Leo energy of confidence, and not Leo energy, Virgo energy. Ooh, Virgo energy of health, wellness, and daily routine. So with that logic and communication, as well as generosity and humanitarian energy and law and order energy, they're all sitting in that energy. So we're definitely switching up our daily routines as far as like our rules and our traditions go. We're communicating, we're learning about it, and as above, so is below. We're definitely applying said knowledge in our home and family. We're definitely applying it in our health. A lot of us are switching up how we eat, how we work out, especially with the New Year's. When New Year's came in, we all had our New Year's resolutions and fasting and things of that nature. All of that is a reflection of the stars and where the stars are pulling us to. Juno, we started off the day at 6 degrees 45 altitude in Sagittarius in the fourth house, and we'll be ending off the day at 7 degrees 4 altitude in Sagittarius in the fourth house. So Juno again doesn't move that much. This is the second energy that we have in Sagittarius, is not. Yes, because the moon is also in Sagittarius energy. That moon energy that's causing us to go inward, right? And Juno is all about talents in the arts and wisdom as well as defense. So you might be tapping into your artistic side on the inside. Um, this evening with the moon and Pallas being so close to each other. Pallas is also not Pallas, Juno. Juno is also the feminine energy to Pluto. So Juno also deals with transformation and power and things of that nature. So definitely find yourself dealing with transformation as far as your perspectives and philosophies go. And that is the energy of the Sagittarius house. And we are applying this to our fourth house energy. And the fourth house energy is the energy of Cancer. And that's our nurturing spaces and our maternal energy. Vesta. Vesta is your passion and where your fire is. And Vesta, we started off at 21 degrees 0 altitude in Virgo in the second house. And we'll be ending off the day at 21 degrees 4 altitude in Virgo in the second house. So Virgo energy is all about servitude and practicality. It's also about being logic and organized and fussy. Okay, so this is the energy that's also in Virgo. That's in alignment with my Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus. So my passion may be ignited by this Vesta energy shining upon my planets. And I may, it may be bringing it to the forefront to where like I feel like a really strong desire to be organized or a really strong desire to be engaged in servitude and using my practical and logical skills of getting things done and stuff like that. Excuse me. And actually, I do. And that's kind of what ignited me doing the planetary forecast on a daily basis and stuff like that. And the second house deals with your, personal finances and your materials and your possessions and your self-esteem and things like that. So like, you tapping into your Virgo energy, which is also an earth energy, and you tapping into the Taurus energy, which is also an earth energy. It's like you using your logic and your organization skills, your servitude skills to obtain said things, to obtain, things that you like. And when you obtain and maintain things you like, what does that do? It boosts your self-esteem. You feel good about yourself. Like, oh, I just bought this and I kept it nice for 5 years and it still look new. That makes you feel good. So that's what Vesta is calling. Iris is all about justice through the water. It's the energy. The myth of it is a woman would carry water from the Styx River, and if you were on the stand to give testimony, you would drink the water, and if you died, it was because you were lying, and if you didn't die, it's because you were telling the truth. So this is all about justice and seeking truth and being brought to justice. And we have Iris sitting at 3 degrees 40 altitude in Aquarius, and will be there for about some time. And with that energy sitting there, we have, justice being rooted in that Aquarius energy. And we also have Iris sitting up with Palace of Logic, Mercury logic. Palace and Mercury are actually like the masculine and feminine energies of one another when it comes to logic and communication and teaching and learning. And then we have Saturn and Jupiter, which are, all about law and order and restrictions and generosity and wisdom and stuff. All of that is sitting in that rebellious energy, that original social energy of Aquarius. So definitely feeling like multiple pushes uh, in different areas of your life going towards being rebellion, shaking things up, being original, and an individual, as well as opening up your mind and being expanded. And we're going to find justice in that. And that brings me back to the lyrics of my song Abundance, because expanded abundance is justice. And so, yeah, definitely listen to my Abundance song. That's definitely the one right now for this Aquarius energy. It's definitely in a good Aquarian song right now. Hmm. Well done. Well done, Nika. But that's it for my planetary forecast for today, for January 9th, 2021. Thank you for all that tuned in and commented and shared their thoughts and everything like that. Definitely appreciate you guys. Definitely tap in with me tomorrow. We go over the 10th. We have some ethereal and astrological happenings happening tomorrow with the sun and moon, as well as they keep going through Capricorn energy. And as the moon goes through the energy it's going through, and so on and so forth. And it's always fun. Definitely go over to my website, letsnobodiescollection.com, if you haven't already done so, and go on and vote. The nomination forms are being handed out now, and if you received one but you're having trouble with clicking on it or things of that nature, please let me know so I can fix it for you. And that's all I have for you guys.
What's my lining book bag?
It should be on the floor.
It's not that.